Part 26. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 255. In the direction of Xiaokai town, Zhang Yang also led 400 cavalrymen and rushed quickly. Yesterday, he learned that Wang Shuo was going to attack Nanshanji. At that time, Wang Shuo joked that he would ask Zhang Yang to support. But Zhang Yang did not take it as a joke, but really brought people. In the afternoon, both armies had already formed their battle arrays. Neither side chose to launch a sneak attack. In broad daylight, the other side's every move was under the surveillance of both sides, and a sneak attack would not gain any advantage. Both sides set up their battle arrays, and the battle was about to break out. Niwu led 200 guards and 3,000 people from the Iron Sword Gate, left the main force, and rushed towards Wang Shuo's army. Less than 500 meters away, more than 3,000 people, just like this in public, disappeared. Everyone in the two armies facing each other looked like they had seen a ghost. After a brief shock, Wang Shuo was worried that Niwu would launch a sneak attack, so he immediately asked Ayub to order the entire army to be on alert. Wang Shuo still gave the command of this battle to Ayub. He was responsible for commanding the miscellaneous troops sent by other lords. Suddenly, Wang Shuo felt something. He checked the message immediately. Guanji, a spy hidden in the Iron Sword Gate, sent a message. Lord, Niwu used a group invisibility scroll. Now he is hiding in a valley on the left side of the battlefield. After seeing this, Wang Shuo deliberately looked around, showing a look of fear and anxiety. He glanced casually at the valley that Guanji mentioned. Then he told Ayub about this situation and asked him not to alert the enemy. Wuduk was also confused when he saw Niwu disappear, and he just thought that Wang Shuo used magic. On the Wana village side, according to the tactics discussed before, Good's archers were the first to go out. Crane wing formation was launched. Good took the lead, and 500 archers spread out in a human shape and rushed towards the enemy formation. Nanshanji's troops are mainly infantry. Although the gang members have war horses, they have never been trained in cavalry combat, so they can only serve as infantry at this time. Wuduk is also experienced in battlefield command. He immediately formed a circle to defend against the opponent's charge. Just when the archers were about to contact the enemy camp, the two wings quickly spread out and began to ride and shoot. The rain of arrows poured down and countless gang members were injured. The guards of Nanshanji were of high level, strong defense and well protected by armor, so they were almost not injured. But other members were not so lucky. Although they were shot, they did not panic. Those who can survive until now are basically fierce people who have experienced countless battles. One arrow can't scare them. But the unlucky guy shot by Good was not so easy, and he took most of his life directly. He didn't have the defense like Wang Shuo. After a few breaths, there was another round of arrows. They wanted to change their formation and launch a counterattack. But the cavalry archers quickly split into two teams and bypassed from the side. The main combat feature of the cavalry archers is the tactic of continuous long-range harassment, retreating when the enemy advances, and advancing when the ground retreats. It is called kite flow for short. If the opponent does not have effective medium and long-range attacks, or solid defense, it can be directly kite to collapse. In the end, they were chased and killed. Good led the cavalry archers and circled around these infantry. As long as they did not change their formation, they could continue to output. At the same time, the catapults in the distance also began to throw projectiles. This time Wang Shuo brought a total of 20 catapults, with sufficient long-range firepower, enough to blast open the walls of Nanshanji. In the circular formation of Nanshanji, dense explosions sounded. Seeing that the situation was not right, Wuduk immediately asked everyone to disperse and prepare to charge the opponent's formation. If the opponent is constantly consumed by catapults, no matter how many people there are, they can't stand such a toss. Lord Survival, my shelter in crocodile territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 256. Kill. Uduk was quite decisive. After just one round of bombing, he decided to attack with all his troops. Wang Shuo did not hesitate. The gangs that Wang Shuo had bought basically did not participate in the battle, so he had no burden at all to kill the enemies in front of him. Zhou Yuanjia immediately activated his skills and added buffs to the entire army. The Golden Fire Cavalry was dispatched. This time, Ayub's formation was finally thoroughly understood and could be used. The long snake formation can effectively pierce the enemy's formation. At the same time, there are formation changes such as the snake's tail swinging, which can greatly increase the radiation area of the cavalry and cause higher damage. 800 cavalry rushed into the army of 20,000 people. Wang Shuo was still a little worried whether he would be swallowed by the other side. Soon, Wang Shuo had a smile on his face, and the uneasiness just now disappeared without a trace. Ayub was invincible, and no one could stop him. Countless gang members were knocked away and killed. The Golden Fire Cavalry was in high spirits. Ayub deliberately bypassed the central army where the guards were to avoid possible obstruction. Although Wutuke was mentally prepared, he still found it difficult to accept this battle situation. "Guards, go and intercept the enemy cavalry," he immediately said to his main force. "If the cavalry charges a few more times, the momentum of his troops will be gone." Ayub turned his horse's head and charged again. After the guards dispersed, it was difficult to completely avoid them this time. But Ayub was not afraid. Even when facing guards with a level nearly twice as high as his. Charge! Dust flew wherever the warhorse passed. Ayub held the Qinglong sword, and the positive yang energy was poured into the blade, emitting a faint light. Bang! With a loud bang, a guard was chopped and flew into the air. A lightning bolt hit, and the guard lost 1/5 of his life. Wang Shuo's pupils shrank, and he was also a little surprised at this result. He was just beaten away. However, ordinary cavalrymen couldn't even knock the guards away. There were even a few cavalrymen whose horses' legs were cut off and fell to the ground. This comparison. The lords watching the battle around couldn't help but gasp. Many people said in Cao's tone, "Whose general is this?" After checking the attributes of the guards, they naturally knew how difficult it was to cause damage to the guards. When Niwu brought the guards to attack Wana village, Wang Shuo relied on the bronze crossbow cart to leave more than a dozen guards. If they fought alone, no one would be the opponent of the guards. After all, the level difference was nearly 30 levels. Wait until this round of charge is over. Wutuk directly commanded the troops to rush into the enemy's infantry camp. In this way, it can avoid the cavalry charge and fight a decisive battle with the opponent's main force. Facing the aggressive Nanshanji army, Wang Shuo was not panicked. Seeing the results of the battle just now, Wang Shuo was full of confidence. After taking over the command, Wang Shuo immediately made arrangements. Gong Zheng led the shield soldiers to defend in the front row, the spear soldiers were in the back, and the sword guards protected the two wings. The archers and crossbow battalion were in the middle, responsible for long-range attacks. Soon the enemy entered the attack range. The 100-step piercing bow shot out arrows tied with thunderbolts. The entire enemy camp was suddenly ablaze. The lethality of thunderbolts, in the superposition state, was amazing. A large number of gang members fell to the ground in one round of shooting. Those lords who wanted to take advantage were terrified when they saw this result. If these hundreds of people wanted to compete with Wang Shuo's army, they would probably be wiped out before they even met them. As for the lords who sent troops to join the coalition, they were smiling. This time, the bet was right. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 257. Truni Empire. Queen Anna also paid attention to this battle. Logically speaking, a small character like Wang Shuo was not qualified to enter her eyes. However, Wang Shuo killed her clone last time, which made her very angry. That's why she ordered people to pay attention to this kid and eliminate him when the time is right. On the battlefield, explosions were heard continuously, and the alliance army led by Wang Shuo stood at the back. These soldiers drawn from various territories were usually pampered and had never seen such a large-scale war. Only a very few people could keep their faces unchanged. After the two sides came into close combat, Wang Shuo still kept his troops still. The lethality of the crossbow battalion and archers reached the maximum at this time. The catapult had been quietly withdrawn by Li Jiangguo, and Wang Shuo asked the alliance army to prepare for battle. If the enemy broke through the camp, they must also go up. The battle entered a white-hot stage. The army of Nanshanji had suffered more than half of its casualties, but it still did not collapse, which made Wang Shuo frown. At this time, Wang Shuo noticed the opponent's main general, Wu Chuok. He was invincible on the battlefield, like a beast, and no one could stop him. Wang Shuo thought that it was probably because of his existence that the army of Nanshanji did not collapse. It seems that the opponent's main general must be defeated. Wang Shuo immediately ordered Gong Zheng to stop Wu Chuok. After receiving the order, Gong Zheng flew over with the Taishan Yating. At the same time, his body was petrified in mid-air. Even after being petrified, his height was only the same as Wu Chuok. Wang Shuo checked his attributes by the way. Wu Tuok, Nanshanji General. Level 60, Intermediate General. Attack Power, 2800. Defense Power, 800. Health Value, 50,000. Seeing this attribute, Wang Shuo was shocked. With the blessing of the Brothers United buff, Gong Zheng's health value soared to 30,000 after he turned on the transformation. This Wutuk is really fierce. Fortunately, Gong Zheng also has skills such as damage rebound and life feedback. Wang Shuo believes that even with Wutuk's 2800 attack power, Gong Zheng can still hold on for a while. Li Jiangguo also received an order at this time. All bronze crossbow carts are loaded with bronze spears and aimed at Wutuk. Wana village now has a total of 100 bronze crossbow carts, and 30 are left in Wana village to guard against possible enemy situations. On the battlefield, 70 bronze spears can cause a total of up to 140,000 damage. Of course, the opponent's defense value and possible defense skills must also be considered, and the actual damage caused must be lower than this. But even so, Wang Shuo believes that this round of damage will definitely kill this guy in seconds. But Gong Zheng and him are entangled, which is not conducive to attack. So, Wang Shuo quickly approached the two. Finding the right opportunity, he launched the iron chain binding. 4 thick chains tied Wu Tuok tightly, although he broke free very quickly. It only took 2 seconds at most to break free, but it was enough. Gong Zheng and Wang Shuo immediately flew back, and 70 spears gathered at one point. Seeing this formation, the lords watching the battle widened their eyes and held their breath. Wu Tuok felt the crisis. He was terrified, and his hands and feet struggled violently. This was the first time he felt the crisis of death. But there was nothing he could do, because everything was too late. 70 spears gathered together and directly blew his body to pieces. Wang Shuo breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. The lords watching the battle around him felt their scalps numb. If it were them, this Wu Tuok would definitely be like a nightmare. Powerful. And invincible. But, was he killed by Wang Shuo like this now? They couldn't believe their eyes. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 258. Many lords who had thought of taking advantage of the situation were frightened and gave up the idea of being enemies with Wangshuo. Before, they only knew that Wangshuo was the number one in Changping County, and they were somewhat dissatisfied. Now, they all obeyed. This person can only be made friends, not enemies. But Wangshuo frowned at this time, and had a bad premonition in his heart. After waiting for a long time, there was no system prompt. Could it be that this guy also has a resurrection item? Wangshuo was not wrong. Ling Guanru gave Wuduk a resurrection coin just in case. Wuduk, who was resurrected in Nanshanji, burst into a shocking roar. He was dissatisfied. Ling Guanru heard Wuduk's roar, his heart sank, and he guessed that the war was not going well. He walked quickly towards Wuduk. "Mr. Mayor, I am defeated." Wuduk knelt on one knee and apologized to Ling Guanru. Hearing this news, Ling Guanru was so scared that his legs went weak, and he couldn't believe his ears. On the battlefield, with the disappearance of Wuduk, the army of Nanshanji seemed to have lost its backbone, and countless gang members stopped attacking and began to retreat slowly. The guards were also a little overwhelmed and confused at this time. The leader of a small gang immediately ordered a retreat. This move was like a fuse, and the army of Nanshanji retreated to the distance like a tide. "Surrender and no killing." Wangshuo saw this and immediately shouted, "Surrender and no killing." The shouts of Wana village shook the four fields. But no one stopped. All troops attack. The Alliance army finally felt a sense of participation, and was more passionate than Wangshuo's Xian army. At this time, Guanji sent a message, which made Wangshuo frown. Niwu, leading people to retreat. This old guy actually slipped away. That won't do. Wangshuo didn't want to miss this good opportunity. So they could only let the infantry go and chase the fleeing Nanshanji army. Yuanjia, the next pursuit mission will be under your command. Capture as many enemies as possible. Yes, Lord. After the instructions, Wangshuo and the cavalry troops of Ayub and Gud went to chase Niwu. Niwu never thought that he would be discovered by Wangshuo even when he was invisible. After seeing Wangshuo kill Wuduk, he was also unbelievable. Although he was arrogant, he still knew his own limitations. At this time, it was almost impossible for him to defeat Wangshuo with his few men. He could only leave temporarily and try to make a comeback. Hearing the rumbling sound of horse hooves, he no longer cared about hiding. In the invisible state, their speed of movement was limited. "The people from Wana village are coming, everyone run away." I don't know who shouted, and the gang members of Taijianmen no longer cared about anything and ran wildly. But no matter how fast they were, they couldn't outrun the war horses. Wangshuo was not in a hurry. As long as the group of people were exhausted, it would be the best time to attack. Just when everyone was about to run to the exit of the valley, Zhang Yang arrived with his men and completed the siege. "Niwu, why don't you surrender quickly?" Wangshuo saw that the other party had no way to go, and laughed heartily. "Humph, Wangshuo, don't be complacent. Today's revenge will be repaid in the future." After that, Niwu directly took out a random teleportation scroll. Wangshuo's pupils shrank, and he could not stop it. He could only watch Niwu escape. At this moment, he suddenly hated these props in the game. After capturing these people, Zhang Yang rode over on horseback. "I didn't expect you to come," Wangshuo was very grateful. "I came here this time to sell you a favor. Next time I am in danger, you can't just watch me die." Zhang Yang smiled, pretending to be serious. "Haha, of course. Now is not the time to reminisce, the battle is not over yet." After saying that, he returned to the main battlefield. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 259. Back to the main battlefield, most of the gang members have been captured. Some escaped. In the end, there were more than 500 guards left, surrounded. Wang Shuo came outside the encirclement and heard Zhou Yuanzhi's report. These people refused to surrender. Wang Shuo was a little angry. Do you really think I dare not kill you? Li Jiangguo, prepare the bronze crossbow carts. Soon, 70 crossbow carts were facing the surrounded guards. Now I will give you one last chance, surrender or die, Wang Shuo shouted and made the final announcement. The guards looked at each other. They had also seen the power of the bronze crossbow carts. At this time, their hearts were hanging. Watching the crossbow artillery soldiers loading their spears, the guards' hearts were in their throats, and many of them were already sweating. Their soul awakening level was comparable to that of the bandits in Kingmu village, and they were considered very intelligent. In the end, in the face of death, they still surrendered. In front of more than 5,000 people, they had no chance of escaping, and the other side had thousands of cavalry. We surrender. Clang. Countless swords fell to the ground. Wang Shuo nodded with satisfaction. In this battle, more than 12,000 people were captured, and countless weapons and armors. The Red Flame Army also lost more than 100 people. Most of them were killed by guards and eunuch. There were too many captives, and Wang Shuo was a little worried. If he took these captives to attack the city, it would be easy to cause trouble. So he ordered Ayub to lead the Golden Fire Cavalry to take these captives back to Wana village and imprison them first. The cavalry was faster, so they could rush back as quickly as possible. Then, he took the initiative to contact the lords who were watching the excitement nearby. He planned to pull all these people into the group. To become a hegemon, it is impossible to rely on your own force. Now that Nanshanji has lost all its main forces, it has become meat on the chopping board. Everyone wants to take a bite. If he does not allow other lords to participate, he may be hated. If they join, he will directly establish his position as the regional overlord. In the future, when he competes with other forces, someone will definitely respond. At the very least, it is impossible for them to take advantage of others' misfortune to attack him. Moreover, after taking out the heart of the town, this Nanshanji is no longer of great strategic significance. Wang Shuo immediately ordered people to put chairs on the plain, offer fruits, and invite all the lords present to discuss important matters. The lords who received the news were all shocked. This Wang Shuo, who actually has such a magnanimity, has made countless people look at him with new eyes. This time, he is in public, so he is not afraid of Wang Shuo's tricks. Last time, some lords were worried about going to Wang Shuo's territory and were afraid of encountering unexpected events, so they did not go. This time, there is naturally no such concern. Soon, even those lords who had not been present to watch the battle between Wang Shuo and Nanshanji, after hearing the news, rushed over at full speed. It was as if missing this meeting would mean missing out on hundreds of millions. An hour later, the number of lords present had reached more than 60. This could be said to be the first time in the Dawei territory that so many lords had gathered together, which had great historical significance. Everyone, thank you for giving me, Wang, face and being able to come here to participate in this event. Wang Shuo stood up and raised his glass to everyone. The lords also stood up and raised their glasses in response. This time, resisting Nanshanji was really a helpless move. Nanshanji relied on its strong military and horses to collect protection fees everywhere, making us miserable. Wang Shuo directly unified his position with that of the lords and put himself in a position of being oppressed. Many lords who were charged protection fees felt the same way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 260. Almost everyone present had paid protection fees. Now, the main force of Nanshanji has been defeated, but Nanshanji is not that easy to break. I feel that I am weak, so I hope to get everyone's support. Wang Shuo's words were high-sounding. Everyone knows very well that with the current strength of Wana village, it will be easy to defeat Nanshanji. But the meaning of Wang Shuo's words is already obvious, that is, he wants to give some benefits to everyone. Anyone who can become the leader of a village is not stupid. Many lords immediately echoed, Master Alliance leader, if you have any requests, just give them. We in XXX village will do our best. Everyone is carrying the sedan chair. Okay, this operation is part of our Nanshan Guild's crusade against the oppression of Nanshanji. To the lords in the guild who are willing to participate in the operation, after Nanshanji is captured, we will distribute the spoils according to the merit. Everyone, do you have any objections? Wang Shuo glanced around. Lord Wang, we have not joined the Nanshan Association yet, can we join now? Yeah, last time you gathered, we were too far away and couldn't catch up. Wang Shuo also knew that these people just didn't bother to come last time. But he didn't say anything. Of course, our Nanshan Association is originally intended to support each other in this troubled time. There is no reason to reject everyone. However, if you join the Nanshan Club, you must abide by the rules of the Nanshan Club. Wang Shuo's words made the previous lords beat drums in their hearts. They didn't mention the rules of the Nanshan meeting before. Seeing everyone's doubts, Wang Shuo said quickly, as the saying goes, there is no rule, and the most basic rule is that every lord must implement the decision made after we all discuss it, and must not violate it. In this operation, many people in Nanshanji were regarded as outsiders. This was Wang Shuo's intolerable behavior. Hearing Wang Shuo say this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Of course it should be like this. Otherwise, what's the point of the Nanshan Association that we all formed? Luz Heiming from Jiaotang village, who had responded positively before, immediately said righteously. Everyone lowered their heads and thought, this is indeed the truth. If you want freedom without any restrictions, you don't have to join the Nanshan Society. If you encounter difficulties later, or are bullied by others and are left alone, you can only admit that you are unlucky. Just like collecting protection money in Nanshan, you can only break your teeth and swallow it. If everyone formed an alliance, the situation would definitely be different. After figuring this out, the lords present joined in one after another. The trend is established. The Nanshan meeting organized by Wang Shuo finally had the appearance of an alliance. Next, we need to use various means and interests to firmly tie everyone to this chariot. Wang Shuo immediately ordered someone to kill the sheep and make an oath. A lord provides a guild order. Wang Shuo formally established the Nanshan Society. Do you want to use a gang building order? Yes. You can choose to form one of three organizations, alliance, gang, or mercenary group. Wang Shuo chose an alliance, named it Nanshan Society, and added the lords who were willing to join to the alliance. At this point, the Nanshan Society is no longer a verbal organization, but an alliance recognized by the system. At this moment, the barriers between all the lords seemed to be loosened. Before, they were still on guard against each other, as the other party might attack them at any time. Now, this concern is much lessened. Everyone was smiling and toasting to each other. Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 261. This meeting also virtually eliminated an action that was originally planned to attack Wana village. In fact, some of the lords present did intend to attack Wana village while the village was short of troops. Then, everyone discussed some details and it was time to distribute the spoils. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Wang Shuo directly asked for the town heart of Nanshanji. After the other lords knew the role of the town heart, they all became greedy. But none of them made any extraordinary moves. After all, Wang Shuo was the absolute main force of this action, and it was good enough for them to get a share of the spoils. There was no problem for more than 60 lords to gather 500 people each. Not long after, the army was assembled. Wang Shuo was naturally the commander of the coalition. While Wang Shuo and others were meeting, Ling Guanru did not sit still and wait for death. This was a life and death moment, and he did not care about his face. He immediately sent out a request for help to several nearby system towns. But strangely, several mayors who were on good terms with him all found excuses to shirk his request for help. This made Ling Guanru feel hopeless. At the critical moment, there was not a single reliable teammate. Outside Nanshanji, Wang Shuo's crossbow battalion was ready. The catapults fired shells and bombarded the newly built city walls, making a huge explosion. The durability of the city walls was constantly consumed. Ling Guanru had no way out. The current force was not enough to go out of the city to block. Soon, a section of the city wall was blown down. Seeing that the time was ripe, Wang Shuo gave an order. Attack! The coalition forces rushed to Nanshanji like a tide. At the same time, the bribed gangs also took the opportunity to create chaos in the town. The defenders of Nanshanji basically did not organize an effective resistance, and the entire town was controlled. Wang Shuo did not pay much attention to the burning, killing and looting of other lords. Only Li Weiguo's sword guards were sent to Fuyin to protect Chef Zhang. The others all followed Wang Shuo into the lord's mansion. After continuous fighting, only Ling Guanru and Wu Tuk were left, surrounded. Ling Guanru, do you have any last words? Wang Shuo looked at the besieged Ling Guanru, who was like a stray dog, covered in blood. Humph, humph, it's just a matter of success and failure. Wang Shuo, you don't have to be too proud, one day, you will end up like this. Ling Guanru knew that the situation was over, and countless efforts were once again in vain, and he was filled with grief and anger. After saying that, he actually drew his sword and committed suicide. Looking at Ling Guanru's body, Wu Tuk bared his teeth, and then punched his head several times and committed suicide. Wang Shuo saw this scene, and felt infinite desolation in his heart. This may be the final outcome of most people. Silently picking up their fallen items. Territory Governance Strategy Add 1, Suinman Sword Skills Add 1. 2 books were dropped. Wang Shuo took a look. One was for internal affairs talents to practice. Wang Shuo planned to give it to Duan Wengzi. The other martial arts secret book had no suitable candidate yet. Without staying too long, Wang Shuo ran straight to the core secret room of the territory. After continuous attacks, the durability of the protective shield was exhausted. You broke through the core of Nanshanji's territory. You can choose to occupy or destroy it. Wang Shuo was a little entangled at this time. The benefits of occupation were undoubtedly huge. But after thinking for a long time, he still chose to destroy it. He still felt that his Wana village had a more advantageous geographical location. Nanshanji had no dangers to defend on all sides. If hostile forces invaded, it would be easily besieged. And the location of Wana village only needed to expand the area. Xiangshui River and Weidane Mountain were both natural barriers. You obtained the heart of the town, and Nanshanji lost the qualification of a system town. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 262. System Announcement. Wang Shuo, the Lord of Wana Village, led the Nanshan Society to break through Nanshanji and became the first player to break through the system town. This is hereby announced. Whenever there is a major event, there must be a system announcement. Wang Shuo was not surprised. What he cares about is what the reward is this time. Since you are the first player to break through the system town, you will be rewarded with add 10 commander value, add 2000 reputation, add 5 intermediate general job transfer certificate, add 1 priest job transfer certificate, and add 1 special building teleportation array. 1 a village territory reputation add 500. Seeing these rewards, Wang Shuo finally smiled. Just when Wang Shuo broke through the core of the territory, Gong Zheng had already led people to the treasury in the city lord's mansion. They searched the supplies inside. The supplies inside are very rich, including various mineral resources, martial arts skills, weapons and armor, etc. However, these things are no longer very attractive to Wang Shuo. The most important gain of this trip is the heart of the town. After everyone had looted enough spoils, Wang Shuo summoned all the lords of Nanshanhui to the lord's mansion to discuss matters. The current issue is how to distribute the territory of Nanshanji. Wang Shuo did not raise this issue in the previous meeting, but just now, someone told Wang Shuo about it. Wang Shuo thought about it and asked everyone's opinions. After all, it is much more prosperous than the villages of the lords. Some people suggested that one person should have several shops. Some people also suggested that it should be managed in a unified manner. Finally, after a show of hands, Nanshanji belonged to Nanshanhui and became the headquarters of Nanshanhui. The profits obtained were distributed to all the lords. Wang Shuo had no objection to this. These people had never considered that half a month later, when the undead revived, who would guard this place? If they couldn't guard it, nothing would be left. Perhaps some people thought of this, but they were still reluctant to abandon a town that was more prosperous than their own territory. Wang Shuo then left the lord's mansion and came to Fu Inn. Chef Zhang was sitting in the hall with a helpless look on his face. When he saw Wang Shuo coming in, he didn't even look at him. He was angry at this moment. The initiator of all this was Wang Shuo. His restaurant was thriving and developing rapidly. But all this was messed up by Wang Shuo. Although he knew that this kind of thing would happen sooner or later, if not Wang Shuo, it could also be Li Shuo. But he was angry. Brother chef, you know, I can't do anything about it. Wang Shuo walked to the side of the table and smiled awkwardly at Chef Zhang. Lord Wang, you are so powerful now. Chef Zhang was still a little upset. Brother chef, born in a turbulent time, it's either you or I. If we hadn't met, would you still be able to sit here safely now? Wang Shuo was sincere and sincere. Although it was the truth, it was unpleasant to hear. After a while, Chef Zhang sighed dejectedly. It's all this. Chef Zhang held back the words when they came to his lips. Seeing that Chef Zhang had calmed down, Wang Shuo then said, Brother chef, there is not much time left for the invasion of the Undead Legion. Do you have any plans? If not, my territory can still accommodate a restaurant for you. The reason why Wang Shuo came to see Chef Zhang in person was because he regarded Chef Zhang as a friend. Chef Zhang himself had no ambitions. What he wanted to do most was to open a restaurant. This did not conflict with Wang Shuo's goal. In this survival game, there are very few people who can become friends. Wang Shuo still cherishes this kind of emotion. I am a chef, what else can I do? I can only rely on you. Haha. Chef Zhang said, and smiled at Wang Shuo. Haha, let's go and take a look at my territory. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 263. After returning to the territory, Wang Shuo took Chef Zhang and Zhang Yang to visit his territory. Zhang Yang, have you ever obtained materials like Yinshan wood? Zhang Yang thought about it and shook his head and said, no, what is the use of this Yinshan wood? Wang Shuo did not hide it and told him about the dead spirit beads. And offered to give him 100 beads. But Zhang Yang refused. It's not that he didn't want it, but 100 beads can't solve the problem at all. Wang Shuo, let's trade normally. I'll buy 500 first. Wang Shuo sold it to Zhang Yang at the price of 5 energy crystals per piece. Zhang Yang didn't stay in Wana village for long. After all, he was also a family and a business. He soon returned to his Zhuyang village. Wang Shuo accompanied Chef Zhang again and chose a very popular location in the newly built city wall. Here. Chef Zhang nodded with satisfaction. Okay, I will definitely build you a grand restaurant. Wang Shuo smiled and nodded. Duan Wengzi, this matter is your personal responsibility, and you must decorate it well. Don't worry, boss. At the old site of Nanshanji, there were broken walls and ruins in front of her. Dongfang Ling was stunned. Halfway through, she had learned that Wang Shuo had won the Battle of Nanshanji. But she was almost there, and she still wanted to come and take a look. After entering and walking around, she found out that Wang Shuo had returned to Wana village. Dongfang Ling glanced in the direction of Wana village, feeling lost. Miss, let's go back. The next time we meet, we may be enemies instead of friends. Fang Kai's voice sounded out of place. Dongfang Ling has been managing Wuan village for some time. The reason why Wuan village has developed so rapidly is closely related to her. The growth of territory and population is based on continuous foreign wars. She also deeply experienced the cruel side of this world. After standing there for a long time, she turned away without saying a word. Fang Kai smiled and turned to his men and said, "Go back to the territory." Wana village. Wang Shuo had several things to do. He first came to the core of the territory and saw that the mysterious pattern under the light curtain was inlaid with more and more things. He felt a full sense of accomplishment. Detected that the player has the heart of the town. Do you want to use it? Yes. In an instant, the heart of the town flew into the light curtain, and the original village construction order and the heart of the town merged together. Just like when Nanshanji was breached, the village construction order and the heart of the town were separated. Originally, the level of Wana village's village construction order was gold, but because of the system reward, the level was increased by 1 level to rare level. Rare village construction order, the speed of territory construction increased by 10%, the speed of territory soldier training increased by 20%, the growth cycle of territory crops shortened by 15%, and the speed of upgrading the life skills of the territory residents increased by 15%. Wang Shuo immediately checked the attributes of the territory. Territory attributes. Territory, Wana town, primary town. Lord, Wang Shuo. Territory attributes, popular support, outstanding people, and beautiful scenery. Territory reputation, 800, famous for 100 miles. Area, 5 kilometers in radius. Population, 24,000. Popularity, 82, average. Buildings. Military. Auspicious beast in the territory, Koi, juvenile stage. Upgrade conditions. To upgrade to a second-level town, you need a population of 50,000, a popular sentiment of 85, a silver energy converter, and buildings, Lord's Mansion, residential houses, teleportation array. Wang Shuo found that the conditions for upgrading a second-level town were still quite complicated, and the population alone required 50,000. In addition, a large number of buildings were required. It seemed that it would take some time before it could be upgraded. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 264. The system announcement arrived as expected. System announcement, Wana village was the first to be upgraded to a town. I hope all lords will continue to work hard. The 3 system announcements naturally caused a lot of waves among the village leaders. This Wang Shuo is awesome. How did he do it? I guess it must have something to do with his attack on Nanshanji. It's confirmed. A friend of mine said that you have to attack the system town to upgrade the town. Oh my god, how can you get people to upgrade? Attacking a town, you really think of it? With Wang Shuo taking the lead, many lords became more active. Especially those lords who are ranked high and have strength. Maybe they can't take down a town alone, but they can also unite. Wang Shuo didn't know that the Nanjun Association he founded opened an era of lords' union. After upgrading the village, Wang Shuo built a teleportation array near the gate next to the teleportation gate of the ancient battlefield. Now, Wana town has 2 city walls. The new building is the outer wall, and Wang Shuo plans to build the teleportation array between the inner and outer walls. This will not only facilitate the teleportation of people from other places, but also block them outside the inner wall. This is also to prevent the teleportation array from being breached and the enemy directly teleporting into Wana town. Are you sure you want to build a teleportation array here? Yes. The teleportation array is a special building, which is automatically built by the system. Wang Shuo now guessed that the so-called special building is just the construction technology that players are not yet able to master. If one day, someone learns the teleportation array production technology, then players can prepare materials by themselves and build it by themselves. Not long after, a huge altar stood in front of Wang Shuo. 2-story high platform, white marble floor, 4 small steps on both sides, and low pillars. The entire altar has no gaps at all, as if it was made by nature. Wang Shuo walked up. The system prompt sounded. The teleportation array of Wana town has been established. You can now request to open the following teleportation arrays: Nanshanji Village, Ziokai Town, Qinghe Town, Scarborough Market, and Changping County. Wang Shuo noticed at this time that after taking the heart of Nanshanji Town, Wang Shuo did not take out the village building order, so Nanshanji still existed as a third-level village. At the same time, no one destroyed the teleportation array, so it could continue to operate. Wang Shuo was a little unsure about the attitude of other towns, so he did not rashly request to open the teleportation array. He only opened the teleportation array with Nanshanji. The actual controller of Nanshanji is still Wang Shuo, so it is very simple to open the teleportation array. Set the teleportation fee to 1 gold coin. Wang Shuo stood on it, paid 1 gold coin, and was teleported to the teleportation array of Nanshanji. Haha. It's quite fun. In this way, it becomes extremely convenient to reinforce Nanshanji from Wana village. Wang Shuo's mind became active. When the undead army attacked, maybe he could still save Nanshanji. This thought only flashed through his mind. Where would there be so many people to defend it? Thinking of this, it seemed that there were still a large number of prisoners who had not been dealt with. Wang Shuo immediately asked people to bring all the prisoners to the central square. There were more than 10,000 people in total, and the whole square was full of people. Many people squeezed into the flowers on the edge. Wang Shuo stood on the high platform, his eyes swept across the faces of the people one by one, and there were many familiar faces among them, including Zhuqiui, Yu Ji, Fan Chenyang, and others.